Okay, well, it looks like I just did a lot of that for nothing. I made probably the most amateur mistake on the planet and had my audio muted. Oh, that was embarrassing. But, that's why it's my first stream. I didn't go into this expecting everything will go smoothly. So just pop that down for a minute. Get fresh ones. Pity that the weather's decided to turn now, but we'll press on. Well, I just ranted to myself for probably the last 5 minutes, but recap. Hello, I'm Roller Guy 70, or John if you prefer. That's my actual name. This is my 1980. No, this is 84. I'm pretty sure. 1984 Toyota Corolla Ke70. It's a bone stock 4K in it at the moment. The previous owner stuck on an electronic distributor, but couldn't quite get it running. I got it running after I purchased it for about $2,000, and for what I paid for it, it's pretty good. Obviously, like all of them, they have a bit of rust here and there. So, if you can see the little rad support, I have another one coming. Bottom of the battery tray, they all had it here. Well, quite common. And of course, it wouldn't be a Ke70 if the rear valence wasn't rusting. And rear quarters for that matter. But all in all, it's actually not too bad. Like, down here is actually pretty solid. Mostly up top on the passenger side. Rear, the previous owner had a crack at repairing it. But I got some fresh metal coming, and bodywork is not my forte, but I have my mate. I'm going to hand off the car to him to do the bodywork, because I also won't have time to do it as well. I work full time. And this side, driver's side, is a little bit worse. But again, it's a Ke70 Corolla. The rust can be a lot worse than it is on this car. So I don't know. I'm happy camp for $2,000. The yellow Ke70 you see at the back there, was a joint project between me and my dad. And as of 2 weeks ago, we finally got it registered. Need to get some more road miles on it. And really the last thing to do is repair the headliner. We haven't even touched that yet. But interior, paint, body, we've done it all. So this one's next in line. This is my personal project. And yeah, I've already started draining the oil, if you saw me do it without the audio. Gonna rip off the oil filter, then get started with spark plugs. Let's close this. Now, tricky part is, I pray this doesn't go out of range and start lagging. Oh, the clamp. Oops. That's stuck on tight. Alright. Let me move the oil pan in a little bit so it'll catch oil from this. Oh boy. I'll clean everything up later. While that's draining, I'm gonna get started with spark plugs. Nothing special, just good old copper NGK plugs. Can't really go too wrong with them. Although, I will be right back, I want to check on the stream's health. Be right back. Or at least what my mate's telling me. Okay. Apparently it's going okay, according to my mate. These gloves are a pain sometimes. Usually I never bother with wearing gloves while working on cars. You know, unless it's something that could generally... Actually, yeah, no, just in general, I almost never wear gloves working on cars, but I gotta handle my camera, my laptop, so on and so forth, so just preventative measures, so I don't have to keep washing my hands over and over. Unfortunately, the weather's decided to turn on me, but what can we do? Alright, spark plug socket. Now, I would get the plugs, but I've unfortunately misplaced my gapping tool. It's basically one of those cheap coins you can get. But it's NGK, you know, really can't go wrong with them. That's looking, yeah, but see there's no sharp edge to the center electrode, and quite sooty as well, so I reckon I do intend on not exactly rebuilding this carburetor. I have a dual carb setup from a 3KB with manifold, everything all in my shed. Maybe I'll stream rebuilding that. Do a stream with me rebuilding that, and I have some second-hand headers, so I'll probably stick that on rather than rebuild this one, because it runs alright. There's a bit of hesitation, but that could also be down to plugs being the way they are at the moment. And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to limit the time of my stream, namely because I don't have an exact estimate how long the GoPro's battery will last. I've tried fiddling around with essentially like hot swapping or using an external battery pack, but that hasn't exactly what I call gone smoothly. Yeah, I should put a little. You know what? I got leftover grease on my finger from. Realistically, I should put some anti-seize on this. Normally I do, but given that weather's turned on me and I have limited time on streaming because of battery problems, this is gonna be a bit of a rush. I might have to skip the fuel filter for today if weather's gonna keep going like this. It's when you finally want to do something weather goes wrong, isn't it? And I'm trusting the NGK to gap properly, because again, I haven't had problems with them before. Generally they gapped pretty well. Oh, for goodness sake. Jeez, that rain doesn't like me today. This totally won't get repetitive. Twice here. I'm pretty sure I painted it. Yep. Damn it. The standard gap for these things are 0.8 mil. Then I'd assume some guys who are running modified ones will run a cold. Well, actually, no, they definitely do. They run colder plugs with high compression motors. This one I don't plan on doing much to it because I have a 4K in my garage. Sorry, 4K? What am I talking about? A 5K. A 5K short block. And that I intend on building up and sticking in here at some point. For now, I might just... Well, I'm definitely going to be running E10. Put the twin carbs on. Make sure the rest of the fuel system's happy to run E10. Because I'm a cheap bastard. Yeah, sooty. But not as worn out as the first one. Don't want to be going in the carb. Yeah, so I might stick a bit of a cabinet. Currently, this one is an auto, but I've been told by the previous owner that the transmission is not completely shot, but on its last legs. I have taken a sneaky little putt around the neighborhood. Because, you know, neighbors know I work on cars. So it's nice when your neighbors understand what you do. But yeah, so definitely going to convert it to a manual. I have a 5-speed Ke70 box in the shed, but I do need to get flywheel, clutch, pedal box, plausibly prop shaft. I've not checked if there's differences between the auto and the manual. I'm going to assume there is. There we go. Rubber got stuck in. So definitely going to put the 5-speed manual in here. For short-term mods, it will be 5-speed manual, bit of a cam in it, nothing too big. Put the twin carbs on, run on E10, put a half okay exhaust on it. You know, anything's better than stock really. Plus, you know how it all is with EGR and chewing up performance on older cars. then I do know this vacuum manifold here is cracked and leaking. So, and since I got to plug that hole anyways, I do have an electric fan. So I may as well just shove an electric fan on this, and damn, I thought the rain was bad enough. Soon as you start, oh shit. There we go. You know, come with me, out of the rain. Because I gotta wind you out. Where's that bag? Yeah. Just when I was hoping the weather would hold out for me. Definitely gotta get some more of these new aluminium sleeves. But it's not a big rush at the moment for me. So yeah, sticker cam, twin carbs, exhaust, be a happy club car and fix the rust. Then happy club car for now. Then eventually, the plan is, so I can talk a bit while the rain's going. Under here, I have a 5K block. I've already torn it all down already. Pistons, everything's all out. Bores, crank, just been smothered in oil to prevent any flash rust on it. And in the shed, I have a Zenki T-Series diff out of an A86, so full lot. Disc brake, 4.3 gears, TRD two-way, limited slip, all brand new. I just let it get covered in dust for the last, 2 years. Bloody hell. Because I acquired this for my yellow Ke70, but that project's, given how naff the body is, I've just decided to turn that into a wide body race car. So 3-liter V6 out of a Lexus in a sub 900 kilo car, I'd say it'll go pretty good. So the plan for the yellow one is, I found someone in America doing a modified replica of an A86 wide body kit that you'd find on the N2 touring cars. And when I say it's slightly modified, because the original N2 cars still ran 13-inch wheels, well, rims, but these have been modified so they can take larger diameter wheels. So I plan to stick 15s on it. 15s, wide body kit, fat tires, hoping for around 250 horsepower out of a Toyota 3GR FE. Now, the original plan was to go for a 2GR, but if I intend on going track days and plausibly, some racing with it, staying in, keeping with the 3GR is a little bit more favorable to me in terms of the class you'd be racing in, because it falls in the sub 3000cc. Because if I remember off the top of my head, the 3GR is 2994 cc. So it falls into usually the 2-liter, 3-liter category. If I go with a 2GR, which is 3.5 liters, or 1459, somewhere there. That's usually me playing. That's playing with the big boys category, or bigger boys. So there'll be 3001 to 4001 cc, or I think that's how it is in IPRA, Improved Production Racing Australia. That's why the category, it won't technically be able to run in that category anyways, because it's going from a 4-cylinder to 6-cylinder. So that would pretty much automatically disqualify it from IPRA. But I at least want to try it out for at least some sort of amateur racing series. I'd love to get more time on the track in really any of my cars. You know, I'm gonna leave this down here for now. Don't need it when I'm putting it in. It really doesn't want to let up on me. And if the weather held out, I was hoping to show you one of my other projects that, you know, is actually sitting at home, which is my 1980 CM Valiant wagon. So Chrysler Valiant, that's for any non-Aussie viewers, that's basically, for non-Aussie viewers, say for example you're American, you would have known Valiant as 6-cylinder versions of, you know, Dodge, Chrysler, Mopar in general. But here in Australia, Valiant was basically, you know, Mopar's arm here in Australia, but they had their own cars. You know, Valiant was just the local name for Chrysler products. Meanwhile, in America, as far as I know, if it stated Valiant, it meant it was a 6-cylinder. So, for example, you had your, is it Plymouth Duster? I think it was Plymouth. Plymouth Duster and Valiant Duster. Plymouth had, I believe, a 318 or 340 V8, whilst a Valiant would have had, I don't think it would have had the Slant 6. I don't know what 6-cylinder came after the Slant 6 in America. Here in Australia, you can find Slant 6 Valiants, but then I think it was around the early 70s, Valiant Australia came up with their own 6-cylinder engine, otherwise known as the Hemi 6s, in 215, 245 and 265 cubic inches. And the 265 with the 6-pack option on a Valiant Charger is basically another one of my dream cars. Yeah, if it wasn't pissing down on me, I would actually show you it's in my front yard. And then if you see behind what is my mother's RAV4 is my AE71 Corolla 1985, and that's my daily. And then my 5th car, which I think he shut the side door. Yeah, he has. It stays at my neighbor's place because it was formerly his car, and he decided to give it to me. I'll post that. That was the car I worked on during lockdown, and I'd actually would like to know, what projects did you work on during lockdowns? You know, if you're happy to discuss it, you know, unless you're traumatized like 2020, which I don't blame you. No one liked 2020. But yeah, during 2020 lockdown, I was working on that car was my neighbor's. Actually, I should probably tell you what it was. It's a 1980 Datsun 200B in very bright orange. It is a genuine one-owner car because my neighbor, Stefano is his name, is a 93-year-old Italian gentleman, and he bought that thing brand new from the dealership in Dandenong in Victoria, Australia. And he decided to give me that car when I graduated from uni in 2019. Sadly, it was the same year his wife passed, a few months prior. Because I had it over here, just doing an oil change, spark plugs, basically the same service as I'm doing to this. And I'd been looking after that car for the better part of 10 years now. And then, yeah, a week after I graduated university, he just decided to come over and hand me the keys. I told him, like, what's going on? I said, oh, you just passed me the keys, I put it back in your place once I'm done. Yeah, no worries. But, yeah, he just told me to open my palm, pop the keys in there, and just shut my hand in. And that was probably one of the biggest shocks of my life. But I vowed to him that I'd always look after it. And during 2020, I embarked on quite the rebuild of it. Well, not rebuild, but a lot of restoration work on it. Just carbs, manifold, fuel system, ignition system, like everything on it. Serviced the diff, rebuilt the entire brakes of that car. And when I mean everything, I mean everything. Rebuilt the brake master cylinder, rear slave cylinders, shoes, drums, pads, rebuilt front calipers, everything. Probably the only thing for the brakes I didn't touch on that thing was the brake lines. Everything else was completely restored. Then people in the comment section, and if I asked you what was the most notable thing about 200Bs around here in Australia, was that all their taillights faded. So restored all the taillights. It also runs on E10 now, because I still can't help it being a cheap bugger. Plus, all carby cars, they take well to E10, oddly enough. I know people say, oh, the ethanol sucks up water, this or anything, but I've been daily driving. Oh, you can't see it from here. I've been daily driving that AE71 for years now on E10. Never had a problem. So, I don't know. Other people's experiences may differ, but that's how it is for me. And thank you very much, for clearing up on me a little bit. My back's utterly soaked, but everything's in. Gonna do a fuel filter. Then sub nut, fill it with oil, give it a run. I have some carb cleaner. I might just spray it down with some carb cleaner and see if it runs a little bit nicer, but this motor's healthy. This motor's quite healthy, which is good. I probably won't do a lot of head work for this, because as I mentioned earlier, like 3 times, because I'm a nervous wreck and keep repeating myself, put a cam, twin carbs, good exhaust, got to do a little bit of something to the head. So, double valve springs, maybe 0.5 mil bigger intake and 1 mil bigger exhaust valve, and a little bit of light porting. But again, I don't want to get too invested in this motor, mainly because I will be shoving a 5k in it eventually, and well, I need to first get the money for that 5k really, because that 5k I'm planning on building into a bit of a race motor, big cam, E85, around 13 to 13 and a half compression, and spin the thing to about 9 grand. And I definitely know some mods that I have to do to it, i.e. big thing is rods and main caps. Main caps will fracture, I think, after around 120 horsepower, flywheel horsepower. Like, they'll last, but it'll be a bit of a grenade if I don't do it. So main caps, gonna try to get some custom ones made for that 5k. Actually, oddly enough, it will be quite similar to someone else who's been tinkering on a particular 5k. Shout out to Troy Worsley at Warspeed Industries. The man knows LS engines like the back of his hand, and he's working on his own 5k. He's using it for a Ke36 wagon, which looks really cool, frankly. Me, I'm gonna stick it in this Ke70, and the main thing is I'm going to upright it as well and try get a J160 gearbox behind it, namely because it's a nice close ratio 6-speed gearbox. Almost anywhere where you can put a T50, you should be able to put a J160, since there's conversion kits available between the two boxes. Plus, since the J160 is a newer gearbox, if something goes wrong, parts might be a little bit easier. I can't remember all of it, but I have a couple of reasons in my head why I'm leaning towards the J160 over the T50. Oh, that and the fact that most T50s will be completely wrecked by now. So that's the plan. Uprighted 5k, bit of a race, basically a race motor, J160 gearbox, AE86 diff, then coilovers all around. For now, oh, that's my dad heading off somewhere. For now, I do have a set of lowering springs, but I'm just thinking, do I want to put it in this or my daily E71? Because this is going to get coilovers eventually. Do I just wait, save the money, and go straight to coilovers for this, and just put the lowering springs on my E71, since that's a daily? I got to run that to work every single day. So, lowering springs will keep me happy with that. This one, it'll be on club plate, so at most 45 days a year. So, in that case, I may as well just wait, save the cash, go straight to coilovers on this car. Yeah, alright. I'm gonna keep blabbing while doing the fuel filter, unless I happen to run out of things to talk about. And again, I've been running my mouth like an absolute moron for how long now? 40 minutes? But again, the other big reason for this first stream is just to build my confidence as well, because yeah, I'm just doing a lot of things in my head right now just to cope with the nerves. Clean it up a little bit. Actually, I do have some brake clean. Should have brake clean somewhere. There we go. go, that's clean. Nope, bloody leaves, it's shit. There we go, let's get the new filter on. Bugger, I can't grab anything with gloves, can I? I mean, sure. Gotta just put a little fresh oil on the seal. A little bit on the thread, there we go. Just roll it around. Oop. What's on the side? Pardon me. Ooh, wind blew some of the oil. Oop. There we go. Fuel filter. Slight problem I noticed is the fuel filter holder bracket is missing from this car, and I don't have another one at the moment. But work with what I got. God, do I hate these clips. They're the worst on radiators. Cause bugger they hurt. There we go. Oof, that's nasty. Shut that with my thumb. I'll put new fuel line at some point. Again, I've actually run out of E85 safe fuel line. The stuff I use is usually this is 1/4 inch, so usually what I use is Raceworks -3 AN-3 nitrile fuel lines. Push lock. So if you want to look it up online, Raceworks Dash 3 push lock E85 fuel line. I'm just gonna leave this aside here. Gonna make one hell of a mess. Jeez, that it's very yellow. That it's caught some nasties. Come on, play ball. There we go. That's out of the way. I'm just gonna get a bolt from the shed just to shut off the fuel line for a sec. Because I'm gonna replace that clip. It's kind of a mess anyways. Well, it's given how yellow the fuel is, you know, that does not look pretty, if you can see that. Probably wise, when I do change the fuel lines, take out the tank and give it a good clean out. Well, I'm gonna have to take out the tank anyways. A little rust hole about the size of a 10-cent coin on the spare wheel well. Alright, let's take this bugger off. If it wants to give. There we go. Oof, that's some nasties. Oh god, I'm just gonna pour it here so you can see. Look at that. That's rust. That's a very rusty fuel tank. Okay, good bit of preventative maintenance there, but looks like when I do the fuel lines and clean the tank, I may as well do another fuel filter. So what I can do is at least empty the tank of its contents at some point. Not sure when. I don't know if I can do it on stream, but I'd love to do it on stream. I'd love to work on every single bit of any of my cars on stream. Just sometimes it's not always viable to do that, as much as I very much wish it was. That's in. It's in. Right roll mess, but oops, sorry, I bashed into the camera. There we go. Fuel filter, oil filter. I'm just gonna keep this sideways for now, and we'll tip it out sideways. Tip it out later because I actually want to take a look how bad it is. Where's my rags? Oil should be plenty drained by now. Yeah, that'll do. Alright, where's that sump nut? Looks like there's no metal in there. I'll just hit it with a bit of brake clean. Wherever I put it. think some of that fuel made it past my glove because the back of my hand's very itchy at the moment. Oh god, the wind made a right royal mess down here. Just tighten you up. There. Alright. Whoops. Oh, right. Double clips. Let's get all this out of the engine bay. Excuse me. That's looking better. Yeah, that's drained pretty well. Alright, let's fill it up. If I remember correctly, this should take about 3.7 liters. Generally what it is, 3.5 liters. Just so I can run it, turn it off, or basically until the dipstick's full. So they'll get 3.5 will get the dipstick full for 4Ks generally. But then the oil filter itself needs another 250 mil. So basically, fill it till the dipstick's full at 3.5 liters. Start it, run it, turn it off, let it cool down completely so all the oil goes back to the sump, and then measure the dipstick again. Because by that point, oil will have circulated through the filter and actually filled it up. And then check the oil, it should be, about 2-3 millimeters from full. So then you can just top it up that 200 mil later. So that's the plan, 3.5 liters for now. Because overfilling an engine is just as bad as underfilling. Or, not just as bad, but can be bad in different ways. That needs a bit of wipe down. One around there is where we want it. Satisfying, isn't it? Let's see how we're looking. Realistically, I should have a good flat surface, but good enough. A little bit more. Should be about right. I'd say that's flat at the bottom. A tiny bit more. It's flat. That's pretty good. Yeah, cockatoos. And it's gonna send my pet cockatiel ballistic. You can probably hear it in the background. The beauties of binaural audio is like immersive experience, check. Picks up a lot of sound that you just kind of don't want, check. Oh. Take a look at this dipstick. Wipe it off. Shove it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, a little bit above full, but again, the oil filter will take up some capacity. So let's double check everything. Plugs all changed, all leads pressed in, oil cap. Yeah, I'm not bothering with the air filter because, again, if I'm going to replace a carb in a short time, and I just noticed this was completely taken off. Okay, weird, but oh right, now I remember. Previous owner couldn't get this running properly, so he had, this all off. Just trying to fiddle with the car, but I mean, hey, there's only one way of. The best way of learning is getting your hands dirty, or in my case, gloves. So props to the previous owner giving it a go. But like, this car does have some rather dodgy wiring, I'll say, first of all, and some basic mistakes. Like, I imagined he put the electronic distributor hoping to get the engine running. Mistake he made was forgetting to disconnect the ballast resistor. So I just bypassed it with this because I need to fit a terminal to this end. This is 12 volts. A ballast resistor drops it to 9 volts before it goes into the coil itself. But that's good for points distributors, which I'm very familiar with. Hell, 2022, who daily drives a points ignition car? This idiot, namely me. Yeah, so electronic dizzy wants 12 volts at all times. So this was kind of shooting himself in the foot when he was wiring it in. I need to take this connector off and put a proper, round head connector and actually bolt onto the coil properly. But for now, since there's two shovel connectors here, I just said because this will be wired on this side and this would normally be wired here. I just shoved the fuse in it. Gets the job done. For now. Granted, the motor was missing. This is a dodgy. It's even water in there at the moment. It's not going to stop me from starting it, because I might be dodgy, but I'm not the dodgiest in the world. Plugs, fuel filter, oil filter, full of oil. Oh, let's fire it, see what happens. Let's take off my gloves. And I'll probably end the stream soon after I fire it. I need to give this thing a good clean out as well. But interior is actually really good nick, which is really cool. You're seeing this. It's not been cut out and had a aftermarket radio stuffed in it. And it does still have its original AM radio, but he gave me, there should be an FM radio. Yeah, there you go. AM, FM. Can't really see it, but it's dark green light at the bottom, plus FM buttons. Battery tray, kick panel. It's a bit of work, but you know, that's why it's called a project. Let's see if it wants a little bit of gas. 2 pumps. Park. I'm not liking your oil pressure light. There you go. That is way smoother than it was before. That's good to hear. Probably going to give the battery a good charge. Shove the charger on it because you heard it was low. That's funny to watch. Actually, until that's full, I don't think the car's going to get much. But she's a happy little 4K. Definitely going to set the valve out at some point. Then again, it's all cold too. Maybe when it warms up it'll be quiet because the tolerances will tighten up as everything heats up and expands. Oh yeah, not bad for 2 pumps of gas and a shoddy battery. I'm pretty sure this does have an exhaust leak somewhere. Yeah, you hear a little puffing noise around here and one further back. Yeah, metal muffler's going. So, they'll be replaced with a resonator or a hot dog when I do the exhaust. But yeah, all in all, this is, for the price I paid, this car's in actually pretty good shape. He gave me 2 sets of wheels. They're Chevrolet hot wires. One set in 14, one set in 13. But the 14s have wrong tire sizes. Plus, you know, the dry rod cracked anyway, so that will never pass rego. So I'm going to put 185, 60, 14. The 70 profile on this wheel is too tall for a 14-inch if you're keeping standard wheel size. Since it's taller, the speedo gauge is going to be under reading? Yes. So 100 k's an hour will, on the speedo will probably be 103, 105. Plus it kind of jacks up the car a bit, kind of makes it look a bit weird. So put the right tires, lower the coilovers, it'll look right. And yeah, just I'm just talking to you guys, which could very well be nobody right now. I'm gonna put my lowering springs on my daily. Since it's a daily, it doesn't need coilovers. Fun club car. You know, 45 days a year for club rego. So stick coilers on this. And yeah, actually, since the weather let up a little bit, I'm just gonna give this a little bit of rev. It's at least warmed up a minute. Really hate it when people rev a completely cold engine. It's not healthy. Nice and healthy. Apart from that little chirp, I'm gonna assume might be the bearing on the alternator or the water pump. I remember one of them was slightly noisy. But apart from that, she's doing well. I'll just turn her off. So, yeah, that was an oil change on my red Ke70. And since the weather let up, I'm going to take you for a quick closer look and kind of be praying that the stream doesn't start to lag furiously. But this is my daily 1985 AE71 Corolla. Runs E10, and I haven't put a cam in it, but I have bumped up the compression a little bit on it, mainly through the use of TRD 4AG head gasket. So if you want to know, in case anyone does, a 16 valve 4AGE head gasket from TRD will fit a 4AC, not a 20 valve one. A 16 valve. So that's a bump compression from 9 to about 9.5 to 1. Then I've redone all the ignition timing on it and put slightly colder plugs. So instead of NGK BP5EY, which is what I run stock, I'm pretty sure it's 7 EYs. Pretty sure, not 100%, but a little more compression. Yeah. Pity though is it's an auto, so this thing screams on the freeway. Like 100 k's an hour is $4,000 all the way along. I could barely hear my radio at all. So maybe for this one, if I can find. Or I could just do the same thing and, as I said before, anything with a T50 can take a J160. So, would it be the worst idea to stick a J160 in it? Unfortunately for this one, its its engine was neglected by the previous owner. Because I think about a year after we bought it, it let go of one head gasket. And obviously, like when we first bought it, the first thing we noticed is it was only running water. No coolant, no antifreeze, no anti-corrosive, nothing. Just straight tap water. So that block does, yeah. If I was gonna use it for anything, I wouldn't reuse that block. But at least that gives me opportunity, though. I'm not gonna twin cam it because everyone and their dog has twin cam these things. I'm gonna get a 7 AC bottom end, put a 4 AC head, and then put an SC12 on it. Because horsepower and noise is not exactly what I want out of my daily. What I want is a nice, smooth, torquey daily driver. So, with 1.8 liters and a SC12, maybe squeezing 7-8 pounds of boost into it with the stock bottom end. We'll have to redo some stuff on the head anyways to make it not ping to hell. But yeah, 1.8 liters with a blower should make a really torquey, good on the freeway daily driver. And here is my Valiant. I know I'm not exactly a fan of using these because they hold moisture, but kind of necessary given this situation. I'm not sure if you can see lack of window and completely rotted out down right here. And with most Valiant wagons of the era, especially this being a CM, tailgate's rotted. On the skin, it's actually not that bad. Well, it's terrible here. But the main thing is the torsion bar. You can't see it because I haven't opened it. The torsion bar on the inside is the... what do you call it? Basically, the mounting point is completely rotted. So, and finding a tailgate in good condition is next to impossible for these things. Although if anyone watching happens to know someone who has a good tailgate, please let me know.